Sorry, apologies for the delay, and apologies for the frozen phase. Good morning, lads, lasses, and non-binary folk. How are we all feeling today? Hope you're feeling better than me. Come on, start moving. There we are. Certainly hope you're feeling better than I am. Hey, we chat. Hey, J Hank, early as always. Hey, you know, you're exactly around 21, 2022. Be the one who turned up when I was playing Ghostwire Tokyo. I feel like I remember you from Ghostwire Tokyo. Maybe I apologize if I'm misremembering, but I'll need to keep my voice a bit lower so my throat doesn't hurt as much. And no, I'm not dying. I'm just getting sick. That's what I get for working as a teacher with young children. They're always so dirty. Ugh. So a lot of phlegm and snot will be moving around. So Ghostwatch Tokyo, Ghostwire Tokyo. So if you were the one who came then, I do remember you. Do remember. Oh, there we are. Ghostwatch. Isn't that observation duty game? That's the Ghostwatch. There's a, I forgot about my hands. There we are. Yes. Well, since we last talked, I hope you've been doing better, Gabriel Universe. Hope you've been doing better. I'm temporarily doing worse. I'm cured. Well, that's great. I'm glad. I do remember you being quite distressed when we last spoke. I'm glad you've managed to improve. Now I'm dealing with my obsession. Aren't we all? Ghost 2, Tokyo Watch. Heyo, Andy. I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, Andy. Hello, Andy. I should speak in a smaller voice. I should get the microphone closer to me. There we are. Be a lot of heavy breathing this time. Which is why I've not only grabbed lemon tea from the convenience store, I've got myself ginger and lemongrass hot tea from my Australian teas collection. Last night I drank kombucha tea with lemon as well. Yes. A bit more tired than I expected today. Been like I've had it since the start of the weekend. Whatever I've got now. I've not got a temperature, but I'm just still very tired. When you get old, I suppose, you just can't recover as quickly. I don't know, my knee kind of hurts. I'll have to talk about knees. Speaking of knees hurting, I'll have to talk about that. I was scared of being dead, but now I'm very obsessed and I don't care if I lose my because I was. Are you playing games now? Today? Probably not. I don't think I could play games today. I haven't got anything set up, at least. I think I've got a game installed we could play if I suddenly feel like it, but I don't think I quite have the energy. I think today we'll be just chatting, as the title would suggest, unfortunately. So, no games today. Just a jabbering old fella like me. Yes. Then. True. I didn't see whatever that correction was for. Let me give it. I tried to do my 60 because of my mental. Oh, there you go. That's how you even scared to death. That's taxes. You can't escape them. I just had to change the chat. I couldn't see what you said originally. Apparently, death and taxes is not allowed for the top chat. My mental. Since I moved to Japan, I wish I could say I've been putting this on, but you're a teacher. I didn't know. Oh well, it was a 2023 development. I'm working as an English teacher overseas these days. Well, these days I'm in the great country of Japan. Would you believe? Working as an English teacher. So, yes, I've been getting on this stick a lot. It's so scary, even YouTube censors it. Yeah, sure, let's say that. Let's say that. They are pretty scared of taxes, YouTube, I imagine, being a massive multinational corporation. Imagine they do everything in their power to run away from them. I'm about to say you must be an English teacher. Thank you that you could guess my profession. But the problem is I work with a lot of young kids. And they aren't exactly known for their cleanliness. So the last year has just been me getting a lot of illnesses. I felt like the first half of the year I wasn't too bad. It was definitely the second half that got me more. I'm in Japan now, but most of my friends want to go to Canada. Oh. Excuse me, I'm blowing my nose. Do tell me if you want me to mute when I blow my nose. I live in Japan now, but most of my friends, that's great, you live in Japan, there you go. Oh, I'll go to Canada, but yes, Canada. Never been there, but I know a few people from Canada, a few people in Canada. There's a lot to be loved about that country. It's okay, we always do that. But yes, I keep getting these, like, colds. You know, in Japanese media, they always show colds as, like, something that makes you bedridden. And they always translate it as cold. And now I can't remember what exact Japanese they used to use back then, but it's amazing. When I got a cold in Australia, I had the sniffles, and usually went to work anyway. But when I get a cold here, God, it takes me out for like 3 days. The bloody Japanese cold is built different. Built like a bloody brick shithouse, the Japanese cold. Every time I get this viral cold from Japan, I get completely taken out. Sick as a dog. Sick as a dog, I'll tell you. Ugh. I'm bloody sweating bullets. Sick as a dog. Some nights I'm even, you know, sweating more than a bloody mouse at a cat convention. I haven't been to Canada, but I think they speak British English. They do. Except Quebec, a region, state, province of Canada, and they speak French Canadian. They speak English too, but they also speak French. So, yeah, that happens too somewhere in Canada. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, as sick as a dog I am. Like, seriously, I've never been ill. You know, I've been ill a lot in my life, but all the illnesses I caught in Australia, I never sweated so much. All these illnesses in Japan are making me sweat. French Canadian, were they French people before? I'm sure some were. But they speak French, or at least speak a version of French, a Creole, or a pidgin of French. Yeah, sort of. I don't really know the history of French Canadian, but it's just Quebec, and it's kind of here nor there. You could usually English is the main language, but there are some who speak. Yes, French Canadians are the first 3 founding nations. I'm so lazy. I'm a shut-in person. And I'm an introvert. It's fine. Wait, are you drinking tea? Of course. I'm drinking an Australian tea, rather. Actually, I'm drinking 2 teas. One I haven't put a picture of. But today's drink is 2. One is a tea I just grabbed from the nearby convenience store. It's a black tea with lemon in it. It's quite good when it's warm. And the other is Lemongrass and ginger. It's a tea from Australia. Ginger tea. Well, it's Australian ginger and Australian lemongrass. It's a nice tea on the. It's good for the throat. Makes the throat feel nice. My favorite is matcha or mocha. Because in Japan, matcha, I believe, is the tea, isn't it? And mocha is faux coffee. Yeah, I thought so. No problems. But I was saying matcha. It's fine. You see how many times I forget how to spell? For being an English teacher, sometimes. Get down with the sickness more. Goodness, J. Hank, you're always in my corner, aren't you? I am down with the sickness, don't you worry, J. Hank. I've made it. I made it in life. Did you make it in life, J. Hank? What happened? Oh no, I just spilled some of the tea. Taxi! People are actually paying me to get PS2. My goodness. It's amazing. What the perfect job. Perfect job for you, J. Hank. Truly did make it in life. The English people randomly in my country didn't speak English. The English randomly spawned in my head. That's pretty impressive. I wish the same could be said for Japanese that I'm trying to learn. I'm doing a lot better these days, I'm finding. I'm actually doing a lot better these days. Comes to Japanese. I am happy about that. I kinda wish sometimes actually the Japanese randomly spawned in my head. To be entirely honest. Occasionally I'll just know Japanese without realizing I know it. It's quite nice. I'm your average PS2 games dealer. Are you now? Ah, refreshing smell. I need to put more ginger in it, actually. I always watched English videos when I was a kid, and that's why I learned it. So that's... Honestly, that's what I need to do. I'm terrible with it. I'm terrible. What I need to do to really improve my Japanese, I need to sit down and I need to read Japanese news articles. I need to read Japanese books. And I need to listen and watch Japanese media. I need to get like the NHK or something like that set up on my TV so I can watch things. And Japanese VTubers. Well, yes, I could do that. Actually, recently, I've been noticing you know, you have those random clips from Japanese VTubers that appear on YouTube. I've been like putting my finger over the subtitles that people have put on the video, on the clip, and trying to listen. Every time those clips turn up, I like hold my finger over the English subtitle and try and understand as much as I can. Recently, I got through a whole clip understanding pretty much everything. That is kind of hard to learn for me. It's hard. It's hard. It's a hard language. You know how to speak it now. Very good. They clearly have some sort of natural skill for languages. Oh, sometimes I wish my streamer voice wasn't so excitable. I always project so much when I'm talking on stream. So projected. That's a dirty matter for boys. Yeah, I can agree with that, actually. A lot of the, even the young kids I teach have so many dirty jokes. They absolutely love the number 6 in English. And I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're like, they all think it's hilarious. He's an old man who does drinks. Don't recall his name. Jack Sorrow. Wow. They love just the number 6. A lot of the older kids think it's hilarious. They're like, ooh, 6, 6, 6. Because when they try and pronounce 6 in a Japanese accent, to them, it sounds like, well, it sounds like S-E-X, not S-I-X. So, they think it's hilarious. I think it's the funniest thing that I've ever said, every time. Yep, it does. They think they think they're the first person to ever think of it. I think they're so clever. But what can you do? They are essentially teenagers at that point. Yeah, well. They are getting into their teenage years at that point. I'm surprised that didn't get you, J. Hank. I actually saw that one. By you catechirizing the thing, I managed to get it. I have a question. Have you seen gangs in Japan? Like, what kind of gangs? Like Yakuza gangs? Teenage gangs? Biker gangs? Like motorbikes gangs? Because I've seen like those, a few times I've seen those, and heard, they're very loud. Those are bike groups. I've definitely seen a member. Have I seen a member of the Yakuza? Oh, I did! And that's why I played Yakuza 2. So I did see a Yakuza member. I've seen a Yakuza member, almost certainly. I remember. Last year. That's why I played the next Yakuza game. Because I promised that if I saw a real Yakuza member in Japan, I would play... Yeah, that's why I played Yakuza Kiwami 1, not Kiwami 2. You're right. The second Yakuza game I played. Because I made a promise that I would play another Yakuza game if I saw an honest-to-God Yakuza. Brothers in a gang and he's a freaking 12 years old. Hey, they start young, don't they? I haven't seen any teen gangs around my area. Pretty countryside, though. The biggest thing we've got is a major highway nearby. So, when we see biker gangs quite often, because we hear them, and I did see the biker gang recently. They had like the beep, they're very loud, and their bikes look ridiculous, like a child was drawing what they thought a bike looked like. In Japan, that's crazy there. Have a war with other... that still happens? God, I thought that was I thought that was left to the banchos in the 80s. Here I thought the banchos and all that stuff were left in the 80s. Because instead of having hippies, the Japanese had gangs. Because they don't want to deal with problems. That's fair. I don't either. I never wanted to be in any. I knew people who were part of gangs and mafias and mobs and crime families, but, you know. A lot of times in my country, yes. But I lived in Australia. Where they all pretended not to be in a gang. When they were talking to me. Well, I did know a few people. My hometown was almost entirely filled with the mafia. Everyone was in the mafia's pocket. Childhood friends of mine were sons of hitmen and cleaners and the like. It's a good time. Ate good wine though. Ate good wine. In fact, I don't know the leader and co-leader. Like actual gang with narcs that uses anti-educated they're a fire crew. Yeah, that's true. That might be a good point. The owner will order the leader. Yeah, well. It's politics, ultimately. With it gangs. It's fascinating. As much as we try to escape it, every human organization is going to be filled with that sort of messy politics, is the best way I can describe it. Some things seem pointless, but then half the wars ever fought in existence were pointless. Why am I dropping frames? I think the stream is... the stream just had a bit of issues. My internet has been really bad recently. On your first trip to Japan? Is it peaceful in my own country? Australia? Yeah, I suppose so. Never felt safer walking about. At night time, at least. Now, I've been jumped before in Australia. And, you always are a bit cautious. At train stations or that sort of stuff. It certainly feels more dangerous, Australia. And also, well... I lived in a lot of countryside, so wildlife was also an issue, but... usually weren't too concerned about wildlife. Now the tables have turned! Is Australia, Europe, or Asia? It's Oceania. Unfortunately, it's neither. Technically, we're grouped in with places like Indonesia. But we are a English monolingual country. So, we're part of the Oceania. Australia isn't... It's multicultural. It's multicultural. Not as multicultural as you would think. It's certainly got a lot of white people. They do look European, because that's where they came from. So, quick history lesson. Australia has a series of some of the oldest living cultures in the Aboriginals of Australia. And they were settled a couple of 100 years ago. And the English, yes, the British, dumped a heap of Irish, Scottish, and English criminals onto the island originally to do a lot of work and try and get money out of the land. Yeah, similar to Canada. Except we were a penal colony. But then they found a lot of natural resources that were quite good. Go gang, Gucci gang, West Side represent, got a blicky, hello, Pan and Knives, always entering, as excitable as ever. You always have such an interesting entrance. But Australia then discovered to have a lot of natural resources that they wanted, so a lot of people started moving to Australia as a way to get away from England. There's a lot of opportunities, they started growing sugarcane, cotton, all that sort of thing. They started mining gold, and there was a massive gold rush. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. But, eventually, they started actively trying to get rid of the native population of Aboriginals. They banned anyone who wasn't white from entering Australia. They banned everyone who wasn't white from entering Australia. And there was the whole White Australia policy, which wasn't lifted until, like, the 40s or 50s, I don't think. Which is why, surprisingly enough, even though we had so much immigration of Chinese and stuff during the gold rush, we didn't really have much between that time and now. So now it's a lot more multicultural, but back then it wasn't. So that's why you've got such a high majority of white people. They were actively killing the Aboriginals. And they were actively stopping anyone who they didn't think was white enough from getting in. So, that's why Australians are white. And speak English, primarily. Because they didn't have a choice. There was probably a bit of slavery in Australia. I just tried to think. But, yeah. I don't know. Can't even think of what to say. A lot of Filipinos in Australia? There's certainly some. There's a lot of cultures represented in Australia. Alright. The local we could do see people who's talked to avenge them. It was. Totally was. So in Australia, total Australian-born population is 18 million, and total foreign-born population is 7.6 million, according to the 2022 Bureau of Statistics. I'm so sleepy. I'm too. So, oh, interesting. Good night. I haven't slept. Good night. Oh, good night. I'm going to continue talking about statistics. So it appears... Time check, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. 9:28 a.m. to be exact. Here for too long, I need to charge my phone at some point. Definitely won't pass out. Fair enough. This stream probably won't be too long. Don't know how long my throat can handle it. But, in Australia... In Australia, the highest non-Australian born population... Actually, no, everyone, let me ask you. Here's a guess. Everyone, guess. What country is the highest immigrant population? Like, what foreign nationals have immigrated the most to Australia? This is immigration, specifically. Foreign-born people. Albania. Yeah, let me guess. What's the highest? USA? Albania? Good guess, Alex. Hello, Alex, by the way. How are you doing? I am sick as a dog. That's it. Goodness, bad enough. Are you okay? Australia, Argentina, Philippines? What's your guess? Panda Knives, come on. Guess, what country? I was like, Canada, you old Biwa. Oh, Biwa. Did you say again? Oh, Canada. Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, I can't. Forgive me. I'm not exactly. I hope you make it. Please say it will be scary. If you're an old, you sound younger. Yeah, I wish I could shake illness as much. It always takes like 3 days for me to stop being sick. I miss the days where I could be sick and go to sleep and then wake up. And I'm fine. But, you know, it's because I moved to a new country, frankly. Don't mess with the Japanese cold. I'll give you that. Whatever illness or virus causes the Japanese cold, or what they call a cold. Ridiculous. Chronic tonsillitis, and I want to remove my tonsils. Yeah, but I'd want to remove my tonsils if I had chronic tonsillitis as well. Good God. I remember my sister had to get her tonsils removed. She had a bit of a problem with tonsillitis. They're all floating. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm limited to the program I've got. Alright. So, the answer to the question, the highest population of foreign-born nationals is drum roll, please. Rather amusingly, England. English people are the highest foreign-born population in Australia. English people. Not even Scottish people. Specifically England. The second highest is India. The second highest is India. The third highest is China. So the top three, England, number 1, India, number 2, China, number 3. So England is sitting at almost 1 million. That's 961,000. India is 753,000. China is 597,000. Then you have 4 is New Zealand. Then the Philippines. So number 5 is the Philippines. You weren't too far. You're in the top 5. The Philippines. Vietnam, South Africa, Malaysia, Italy, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Scotland, United States, Hong Kong, South Korea, Germany, Iraq, and Pakistan. Have you moved to Japan? How is that possible? Isn't that visas? Like you have to find work, get invited? Well, plot twist. I found work. There are a lot of people in Japan who will hire you if you have a pulse and can speak English. So, a lot more reasonable than you'd think, Alex. But yes, I am in Japan right now, and I do have a job. That's how I'm in Japan, living in this wonderful cardboard box of an apartment. Not exactly as nice as the place in Australia, the granny flat that I was living in Australia, but oh well. I touched grass, got a job in Anime Land. Looks like a retiree. Well, have you ever met a retiree? They never stop working. The reason I was inspired to do this is because I knew another couple who did this every year. I knew a couple well into their 70s who would come over to Japan to teach English. So, what inspired me? One of the reasons that inspired me, so. Oh, calm down. Oh, I'm tired. Why is everyone so obsessed with my age today? But yes. Oh, this weekend was such a tragedy too. I got to do one thing I wanted to do this week. I was paid enough to pay taxes. Must be hard. Japanese are bad at English. Oh, you're telling me, mate. You're telling me. Now, as I've been doing the job, I've gotten a bit better at it. I've improved my own Japanese, so at least I can add a bit of Japanese into the lesson so they can actually understand me at all. I'm definitely in the comprehensible input. I'm definitely in the camp of comprehensible input, which requires a little Japanese. So I do often put a little Japanese in my lessons, just so they can understand. Or I get the teachers that I work with. I often work with homeroom teachers, so I'm not the only teacher in the room. Oh, sorry, just a wave of tiredness. Most of this time I've had my eyes closed. Don't know if the model's picking that up. Ugh. Hey, I'm anybody you play COD Zombies with and joke around lots. He's a streamer too. Oh, wide awake, you're not gonna pass out any show. You've really got to stop drinking, better nights. It doesn't seem very good for you. Yes. It's always good, like, I'm always a fan of comprehensible input, which is the whole concept of putting enough of the home language so they know where to start. They have a base level. You know, that last name, not in a sense. Do they shorten what's your last name? Well, they do have trouble with my name. So most of the time, I just get them to call me Eric. It's a lot easier for them. My first name is a lot easier, so I just get them to call my first name. Because they just call me Binta if they call my last name. Binta Sensei. Binta Sensei. Because V sounds are quite difficult for younger kids. V and B, very different. So I usually get them to call me Erik. Erik is much easier in their syllables and doesn't sound as silly. So yeah, and also Binta sounds silly, so Erik is fine. And because it's actually part of cultural stuff. Because you're kind of teaching them that names are different in Australia, in Australia, in Western countries. Of course, we do first name, last name. They do first name, they do last name, first name. Which is, different. So, often, to make it easier for them, most teachers will go by their first name. Because it's easier. Erik. Eriks. Nah, it's Erik. Erik Sensei. Erik Sensei. Erik. It's just 3 clean syllables. Wishing we could move to Japan. It seems the last of the third world countries are safe. Well, it's entirely possible. Staying in Japan is more difficult because I just wanted to move to Japan because I wanted to do something. I was, done a lot of things in my life, but kind of wanted to move. Kind of wanted to experience something nice and fresh and new. So I moved to Japan to live there for a while. It's easy when you've got savings. I do. But as a sustainable career, it's tough, I'll admit. It's pretty low pay for a lot of the jobs that are easy to get. The easiest jobs to get are your taxi positions and your, weirdly enough, assistant language teacher positions, your assistant English teachers. That's usually the easiest to get. Preferably rich, eh? Man after my own heart, Alex. Person after my own heart. Maybe I should try and find a rich lady. Maybe a rich old lass. I think we could get along. I'm part of a hiking group that are all old. They're all my peers. We're all an old hiking group. Maybe I should marry in my old age. I actually met a fellow recently. It's interesting. There's this wave of I don't know if it's actually a thing, but I've noticed a few times in the people around where I live, a lot of old people remarrying. So they had a lot of pressure back in the 80s and 70s to marry. So a lot of people got married and then got divorced and had a real bitter view of the whole marriage thing, but now a lot of them are getting older. They're actually starting to remarry with older people. This is not like old people marrying young people. This is old people marrying old people, which I always thought was quite cute. I haven't married, and I'm just, fine with that. It's not sugar there. Yeah. Swings and roundabouts when it comes to Japan. I'll admit, I'm really liking Japan for one reason. I'm really liking Japan for one reason. Is, over the years I lived in Australia. Hell, even though the last 20 years in Australia, living there has gotten so expensive. It's so expensive to live in Australia. Food and drink, groceries. It's absurd how expensive it is in Australia now. When I was a kid, could buy anything for a bloody 50 cents. Get sent to the corner store for $1.50 to your bloody name. Well, that's when they first introduced $1.50. And they didn't actually have that originally. It was still pounds and shillings. But you could go with a shilling or two and you'd be great. You'd be set. These days, it's just absurd. It's those bloody companies, frankly. Bloody Coles and Woolworths. They act like competitors, but they're best friends. They're best friends, I tell you. They're always having the same sales, and when one increases the price, the other does. It's a dual monopoly, I suppose. Why I go to Aldi. They're at least trying to be cheap. They actually are cheap. So I am really liking. It is, apparently, to a lot of people who've lived here the last 10 years, it has increased. Cost of living in Japan has increased. And if you're not living in Tokyo, everything's very cheap. Hell, I get paid way less than any job I've ever worked. Accounting for inflation, of course. I'm being paid way less than any job I've ever worked. The job I've got right now in Japan. But I spent like 400 Australian dollars on an apartment a month. I'd be lucky to get an apartment that you have to pay. I'd be lucky in any city where you could do anything, because Australia has a real problem with cities being overly expensive. I'd be lucky to be able to rent an apartment in the city in Australia for anything less than 400 a week, let alone 400 a month. My electricity bill ranges from, $70 to $30. My gas bill is about the same. And the water is about 4,000 yen, so about $40 Australian. So all in all, my monthly expenses are very low. They're less than $1,000 a month, and that was nowhere close to even the monthly expenses I've had in Australia. When I was... By the way, family member, how I lived was on the same property as another family member. So we were sharing the cost. And even then, it was more expensive than I am now. It's ridiculous. How is it so cheap in this country? How does anyone make money? And I know how it is. It's because Japan is an insular economy that is stagnated. They pretty much only are very inward-facing. So there is a lot of influence from the outside world. So as long as the Japanese are happy, they don't care too often. Prices don't increase as much. Because there isn't as much outside influence. Also, there aren't as many monopolies. I've noticed... They may be same groups, but they do seem to operate on a trying to undercut each other sort of thing. Oh, it has got more expensive. No, still less in Australia. I could still save money on my tiny paycheck. If I earned like 10 grand more a year, good God, I'd be saving like nobody's business. Granted, tax in Japan is quite high, actually. Tax is quite high in Japan. It's like there is a 10% of all income tax every year, which is really, really high. Not looking forward to June. I'm gonna have to pay like 200,000 yen. Yes, there are muggers. People steal bikes and umbrellas and all that sort of thing. There's crime in Japan. Really, you're gonna deal with... The biggest crime you're going to deal with in Japan, which I don't know if it even is a crime, is just racism. General racism. It's the biggest thing you'll face in Japan as a foreigner, at least. It's just racism. I've been considering... It's in the area that I live. Because, the company I work for helped me set up an apartment. But I've been thinking of trying to get my own apartment. And there's apartments that are about less expensive or about the same price as my apartment right now, but offer a lot more. And that's what I'm worried. I'm worried that those apartments wouldn't allow me to join them because I'm, a foreigner. But maybe halfway through this year I'll try. Most of it is a hard spot right now. Well, it doesn't help that Eastern Europe is in the middle. Well, two of the countries are in a war, and the rest of them are all very nervous about it. Big economies, those places. Isn't China worse with the racism where they try and wash the time thing off? I don't know. Korea's probably really bad too. I've heard Korea's pretty awful when it comes to that sort of stuff. It's just mostly monolingual. Yes. There's an argument about to be said. Japan is a safer country crime-wise, but that comes with its own caveats. I understand what you're saying. You're both saying there's good and bad. Like, Australia is a beautiful country, a lovely country, and I only ever had crime happen to me personally. Rarely. Very, very rarely. But it happens. And if you're in Tokyo, there's a lot of crime. I'm gonna tell you that for free. There are so many scams, weird cults, stealing, all that sort of thing. A lot of that stuff happens in Tokyo. They're not violent crimes, but they're still crimes that'll cost you a lot of money and still cause a lot of damage. There is crime, just of a different type. It's like children in Japan. Everyone's like, oh, children in Japan are so well behaved in school. Yes, they're well behaved in the way you think well behaved is in like Western countries. They're not throwing desks, certainly. Though some kids still do in Japan. But never have I had a more disengaged class than I've had in Japan. It swings and roundabouts. Yes, though, I highly prefer what is this, the places I am, and it is a less dangerous country. Yes. Australia has a lot of sucker punching. We used to call them cow's punches. But yes, true. Japan doesn't have as much as that. But what they do has is institutionalized death by overwork. So, you know, it may not have violent crime, but some people who live in this country probably feel like it does. It is crazy the hours people work in this country. It's mad. Absolutely mad. Oh. Excuse me. Even the teachers that I work alongside. I'm fortunate that I'm like one of the, I've done a little crime myself. You know, a cheeky bit of crime, you know. Just a cheeky bit of crime. Excuse me. Blowing my nose again. You know, I'm a bit of a scientist. It's like that meme with, what's that actor's name? I'm a bit of a scientist myself. What's his name again? I forgot the name of the actor. I'm a bit of a criminal myself. From the Spider-Man movies. That was always very fun. Yes, I know it's the Green Goblin. I want to know the actor's name. William Dafoe. Thank you. I don't know why Green Goblin managed to make my brain remember William Dafoe, but William Dafoe. And my PS Studios have legally approved that the police here don't ask for questions about a modded copy of GTA San Andreas. Wasn't there... No one here is in Britain. But wasn't there a, Wasn't there a case in, Scotland or something? Where somebody got arrested for modding Skyrim? Somebody ratted on their neighbor that they had a modded copy of Skyrim or something like that. I remember seeing that like a year or two ago. And he's have an alter ego called Henry DeFriend. Henry DeFriend. Where did I put the case to this? Seen that too, yeah. Actually gonna do the I'm gonna actually see what temperature I have live on stream. I've got my thermometer here. I'll make the thumbnail the real thing. Give me a moment. Gonna see my temperature. Listen to it. Beep. I'm doing pretty well. Not doing too bad. Don't quite have a fever yet. Or still. I managed to shake the fever, it seems. But I've still got the stuffy head and aching body. Just no fever. Nice. Will I am the foe? Will I am? Isn't that a... The hell is Will I am, isn't he? How do I know that? The heebie-jeebies. I do. And I still clearly am sick, because even last night, I was sweating. Sweating like a mouse at the cat conventions, frankly. Sweating like a mouse at the cat convention. That phrase has a lot of different versions. Right, Zanyo Shimasu. Yes, death from overwork. Yeah, rather upsettingly this weekend. I was planning to go see a really beautiful thing that happens once a year. So, I had a big thing on Friday. I rode a long distance on my fancy electric bike. Yeah, it means to overwork. Yeah, shimasu means to do, and then you put a noun in front of it, and it becomes the noun version of that noun, like the verb version of that noun. Yes, Zanyo Shimasu. To overwork. Yeah, overwork is Zanyo, Shimasu is to do. To do overwork. But yes, this weekend I had a lot of stuff planned. It was really nice. And I got to do one of them at least. There's a few flower parks, a few beautiful like flower parks in the area, and I managed to catch some of the flowers in full bloom, and it was really, really beautiful. And then I went out with some colleagues and some local friends that I've made. And I should have known. Because in the morning, my knee was really giving me curry. And I'd forgotten. No, I remembered, but on Friday, you see. This is going to be really hard to tell this story. I'm getting quite dizzy. Not dizzy, but, just scattered. My thought process is getting scattered. So on Friday, I was with the students that I have, I was practicing with them with one of their local Japanese dances. You've probably seen this one before. It's the Soranbushi. Soranbushi? Who knows? It's the dance. Rakusho, 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 rakusho. Sora, 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 sora. It's a fisherman's dance from a long time ago. It's like a traditional dance. I think it became popular in like the 70s. Or was it maybe earlier than that? I can't remember. But I helped them. I did that, and my body is not exactly flexible, so I was really sore. I thought, the next day I was still a bit sore, and I thought, that's because I did the whole dancing thing yesterday. I'm not as flexible, not as full of energy. My knee hurts, my back aches after doing stuff like that. I thought, that's just it. But I forgot. When my knee hurts like this, when it's this sort of bruised feeling, instead of like a bone ache feeling, when I feel this bruised feeling, it's not my knee. It's actually a precursor to me getting sick. I realized this last year, actually. And in a minute, I forgot. I just forgot yesterday. Not yesterday. The day before. And I didn't realize. I didn't see the early signs, because I should have gone home early. If that was the case, after seeing the flowers, I should have just gone straight home, but I just didn't realize, and I spent time chatting with the local friends I haven't seen in a while. It was a good time. But then, by the end of the night, I was rough. I was out of condition. I couldn't, and I rode there. I rode like 15 kilometers to get there, so I couldn't ride back in the condition I was in. So I elected instead to luckily one of the other colleagues had a 2-bedroom apartment with a second bed, and I crashed on that friend of mine's bed and rode back the next morning. I was still in pretty rough condition the next morning on Sunday, which is why I didn't stream, because I had to ride back in the morning. I wasn't exactly going to stream. And I wanted to, on Sunday, go with another friend to a few prefectures over by car, so it takes a long time by train, to another really beautiful flower park. This one was Wisteria. Beautiful, beautiful flower park. And they were only really blooming fully this weekend. I really wanted to go, but I can't do it. Didn't have the energy, and I wouldn't have appreciated it if I did go. So all of Sunday too, I had a pretty high fever. I probably had a high fever Saturday night, Sunday morning, and when I was sleeping, I was sweating like a bag of cats at the dog convention. There's another version of that phrase. Sweating bullets. I was saturated. My shirt was saturated. Like I had just hiked a mountain in the middle of summer. Amazing. How much I could sweat when I get these diseases. Ugh. Even with the air conditioner at full blast, I'm still sweating. Sweating like nothing else. I never realised it. It must be because in Australia, no matter times I got the cold or the flu, I shivered a lot. I never sweat that much, I felt. I never felt like I was that sweaty. Must be a peculiar quirk of the Japanese cold. Whatever virus causes the Japanese cold. Also, you sort of sweat a lot. So yes, unfortunately, I'm missing. It's the second year in a row. Last year I didn't miss it. I got there, but it was too late. But yeah, unfortunately, I think I'll miss them this year. Again. I don't think I have the energy. Because, of course, my friend doesn't have the same day off today as I do. So unfortunately, we can't go today. And it would take 3 and a bit hours by train. So after I finish this stream, I would have to immediately go to the train station and take a train for hours and spend, it doesn't cost that much. It would be like about $30 to get there. And it's a couple of 100 kilometers away, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Over 100 kilometers away, and yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I'm really sad, but, what can we do? Life happens. They'll be there next year. They'll bloom again next year. I'll probably try and get to them next year if I'm still in Japan. Let me read everything while I was talking. I couldn't concentrate if I kept trying to read the things. Disobedience, you have no chef, and you're out. Yeah. Then my Japanese expelled you? Damn. Jesus. I didn't realize Japanese teachers had that power. Of course, 95% guys. Oh no. Oh no. I feel like there's an accusation you're making, Alex. You have no chance of it? You're out. Sounds like a good time, but rip, yes. Head out, see you guys, and everyone. Gonna charge my phone and do stuff I say. Have a good rest of your stream, have a good day. I will try. I do have one errand I've got to do. I'll be heading out to the city hall, get something from them, because I've got the chance. Usually I can't go to city hall during the week, so I usually don't have the chance to do that stuff during the week, so I'm going to try and do it, see if I can do it today. Kesarasada as the Japanese, as I would say in Japanese, the Japanese probably don't say this, Sore ga jinsei desu. Sore ga jinsei desu. That is life. My favorite Japanese phrase, although I don't think it's a Japanese phrase. But yes, kei sora sora, sore ga jinsei desu. What is the French one? C'est la vie. And in English, of course, such is life. Such is life. A very popular one in Australia. Such is life. Sore ga jinsei desu. Sore ga jinsei da. Sore ga jinsei. Whatever you want to say it. It's oof. Feeling a bit woozy. C'est la vie. The only thing is I've got no Panadol. Well, there's Panadol in a shape. Paracetamol, or acetaminophen, or what do they call it? Acetaminophen, or what do they call it in Japan? It's so weak in this country. It's like you have to take like 3 or 4 tablets. Australia, it was like 500 milligrams to a gram per tablet. You only had to take 1 or 2, and here you have to take like 4. Pain in the ass. I should buy some though. It's really good at getting fevers down and getting rid of headaches. Though I still have some antihistamines, which have really helped to clear my nose. They've really helped to clear my nose and get rid of the pressure in my head. Cool, that's super strict. Excellent teacher, horrible person. Just to say, that's love, man. I've met a lot of people like that, certainly. I've met a lot of teachers like that in my life. Great teacher, horrible person. Or, very skilled, horrible teacher. That's always the problem sometimes. Some people are just not built to be teachers, yet university makes them be teachers. It's just a real shame. Some people should never step foot in a lecture hall or a classroom. They're very good at their job. It's good hearing from you, accent. Get well soon, thanks. Eduku-sensei. What is get well soon in Japanese again? Odaiji ni, that's it. All of my teachers would have probably been, if they knew, and I've been like, ah, Eduku-sensei, odaiji ni, odaiji ni. Odaiji ni, odaiji ni, get well, feel better. That's the one they always say. It's interesting though, in schools, you call each other by sensei as well. Not just the kids call it sensei. So anyone else that works as my staff, I call them sensei as well. Don't even call the principal by his name. He's Kocho. And so is the vice principal. She's Kyoto sensei. Not Kocho and Kyoto sensei. I don't call them by their name. Though I do know their names. It was an interesting thing trying to teach kids that, like in Western schools, we call the principal like everyone else. They're Mr. something or other, or Mrs. something or other. They aren't called principal. Unless they're an awful person who's like, gets a power trip of people call them principal sir, or something. Who knows? Or just calls them sir. When I was young, and that's what I had to call all of my teachers. Sir. Sir. Like I was in the military. Yes. Ugh. Goodness. Gracious me. Alright, there you go under the loo. Drink a lot of tea. Worst part about getting sick is your appetite just disappears. Been really bad this weekend about actually feeding myself. Usually I'm quite good at making myself eat. I'm sick. Something I learnt to do. But let me run to the loo. I'll be back. Go to that porcelain throne. I'll be back in a moment. Sorry, just not disappearing. Why is that happening? Ah. Actually, before I go to the toilet, I'm gonna fix that bloody hotkey. Ah. Yeah, it's there. Why is it not working? I've never had that glitch before. This was your bathroom all along, apparently. Wait. There's 2 sources now. VC Face, for some reason, the program I use, has now 2 hotkey sources for some reason. There's not 2 of them. Why is there doubled hotkeys? That's so weird. It's just removed my hotkeys. It has 3, in fact. In one of them. That's so... Alright. Bloody don't know how that happened. Weird. One of these days. Anyway. Let me run to the loo actually this time. This was not the bathroom all along. Actually, let's go this check. Why am I not doing it here? Nice and cool looking. Dark and cozy. Back in a moment. Alright. Back. Ooh, my knees. My bones still ache. Now, I better eat my breakfast while we chat. Otherwise, I'm not going to eat anything. But yeah, apparently that's so strange. How is it tripled up on hotkeys in the same source? So weird. I've also one of these days really got to properly set up stream elements. I can actually get that sort of stuff. We also had a subscription last week from some sort of Wraithen Death character. Last week. It's a real shame because I was not going back to school, so I wasn't really doing anything on stream as much. Oh, goodness. Hey, but I managed to stream for an hour. Good job, Eric. Good job. You've done well. Done well. Now eat your sandwich. Eat some food. Eat your damn sandwich. Give yourself a pat on the back. I will. Tap, tap, tap. Goodness. Taking a lot out of me. I still need to head into City Hall today. to get my fancy, renewed, essentially social security card. Japan has its own social security numbers. Right. I have on Japan, what form of it? It's called My Number. Called My Number. Have in Japan. If you move to Japan for any capacity, you'll end up with one. I don't think Australia has social security. We don't have that sort of number, at least. We don't have like a number that you need to open bank accounts. Damn sorry. Well, yeah, you don't really need to use it that often. I have never needed this My Number. Except when I first moved here. I never really needed it. My Number. I was entirely capable doing most things without it. Hell, you don't even need to open bank accounts. What you do need to do, what you do need for it, is for things like, well, it acts as a form of ID. So if you have another ID, like all foreigners have a Zaidu card, a residence card. Is where on a visa, the residence card is tied to our visa, and that can be used as a form of identity as strong as a My Number. So often I just use my Zaidu card, not my My Number card. But I'll be getting a new one today anyway, because I will need it in the future if I want to send any money back to Australia, because a lot of companies that do foreign income remittance and stuff like that, foreign remittance payments, you know, Wise and Sony Bank and the like, require you to have a My Number to prove a real person. They often use it for anti-money laundering and stuff like that. It's really hard to get a fake My Number card that works as a real My Number card. So you can open a bank account with that one, but you cannot open. I think you can't use credit. You can't open a credit card without a My Number. You can't do that. That's in Japan at least. In Australia, I think the closest thing we have is a CFN and a tax file number. I think the TFN, Australia. Like, and TFN is tax file number, so it's usually what you would give to an employer who wants to know how they can pay you. Well, wants to know what they, you know, the tax file number. If you give it to your employer takes your tax file number. Means you don't have to do taxes essentially. The employer can send the taxes to the government straight away through your number. Only you're asking me how evil? Not really. Oh, technically it is if I wanted to get sent over. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, so Australia uses other things to do identities, usually multiple IDs, things like birth certificates and passports and driver's licenses. Yeah, no, there's been a lot of different things. They tried to, years ago, they tried to introduce some sort of, like, card everyone would have had that allowed you to use it for any of your government systems. Oh dear. But it didn't work, and the Electoral Commission was very upset by the idea because it would actually, they believed, would decrease voter enrollment. I knew I could possibly make the Mr. Winter song into a real thing. Well, technically, the My Heart's Road, written by our dear songwriter, who's done some of the music for me before, and the music you're listening to right now. Never remember what I've said about the person who makes our music, the music for my... Well, My Heart's Road was written by the same person, and that's a very Winters song. Where I go, you can't join me. Endless fog shape the way. Lord, it's not, but now I journey on. Australia backfired. Imagine my shock. I know, right? Hey, it backfired, but it's because the departments themselves resisted it, not because the people had to suffer through it. Luckily. It actually is a bad idea. A lot of Australians, a lot of the Electoral Commission holds the opinion that Australian Electoral Commission, you cannot access its data unless it's printed and given to you physically. It makes it very difficult to access Australian electoral data, just because it's not digitized, really. It is digitized, but it's not digitized in a way you can easily search it. Which is why one of the main reasons they didn't want, the Electoral Commission didn't want that, because it would have reduced the privacy of voters. Because then anyone could access it at any time. And in a weird way, it would be a bad idea. You can't link your voter and you can't link your tax file. But even though you can access all other government things like Medicare and stuff from one local place, Centrelink and Medicare, and Veterans Affairs and Child Support, and health records in Australia, you can't access your tax files or your electoral enrollment. Recently, I had to get myself cut off the electoral roll in Australia because I couldn't vote. I was nowhere near enough to a Japanese, a consulate general of Australia in Japan, so I'm actually not able to vote in Japan. You can vote overseas, but it takes a long time, and I just decided it would be easier if I just got myself cut off the roll until I returned. Very easy to do, and saves me $250 every 3 years. Those investigators in Australia does get very rotten. Yes, well, I can guess what that YouTuber's name is. Is it perhaps Australian investigative journalist extraordinaire, Friendly Geordies? Or perhaps Boy Boy? One of the two, but usually Friendly Geordies is the one people know of. It is a country with a lot of exploitable resources, hence a lot of corruption. Lot of corruption. Thought so. It's pretty big in Australia. Probably the reason why Labour finally got back into power after the last 20 years. Or I know it's 20. Single-handedly fixed their reputation. Well, no, he single-handedly got a lot of young people to care. Ah. There you go. It's actually illegal to use any of the Australian number identifiers. Companies cannot use government identifiers like tax file numbers or CFNs or that sort of thing. Illegal. Interesting. It's a weirdly high privacy law. CRN from Centrelink reference number. That can't be used. Interesting. Ah, dear. Dear. What's your streaming plans after you finish getting down with the sickness? How much of a fever do you have? Today, no fever, just my body. My body suffers. Suffers. Fever isn't too high. My body suffers. I'm just tired. Aching. And what are my plans? I don't know. What are my plans? What should I do? Maybe I have a colleague who collects weird, obscure Japanese games. Maybe I could finally commit to getting a PlayStation 2 and we can start playing some weird, obscure Japanese PlayStation 2 games, or entirely in Japanese, and try and figure out what the hell is going on. Do like a exploration stream, like I used to for the old PlayStation 2 collection back in Australia, except like the local second-hand store with all its old PlayStation 2 games, or just grab some from my friend's collection and just play those so I don't have to pay anything. I mean, you might have a PlayStation 2. Be able to borrow it for a stream or two. Hyped in vain. I would take that hype with a grain of salt. It's something I can consider. It's something to consider. Oh. Oh. Excuse me. Oh. Tired. Much to play. DLC of Elden Ring's coming out. It's not for like 2 months, right? Not for like 2 months. Correctly. Oh, what's the sale going on? Boomer shooter thing? Yeah. Hard to think. Feeling like I am right now. Boomer shooter thing would be pretty easy. Old Doom. Basic choice. Do. Yeah. Filled with possibilities. Dogs. Stream items. Ah! I completely forgot the anniversary stream. Once again, no anniversary stream. Who needs them? Boomer Shooter, Chiller's Art, T-Satsu, Puppet Combo Game. Oh, there's a more horror game. Souls Game Randomizer. We did that one. Souls Game Randomizer, done. That of Boy DLC, Alan Wake 2, Cosmology of Kyoto, another weird horror game. Pokemon Infinite Fusions, fan-made Pokemon game. Is filled with possibilities. There's a Elden DLC coming out. It's the 6th, right? Like 2 months. Apparently in June. DLC. Oh, yes. Say that sentence out loud. Pokemon Infinite Fusions. Fan-made game. Pokemon Infinite Fusions, fan-made game of popular Nintendo IP, Pokemon. What's the problem? What's the problem? I also should. I might not do that. Is it coming out? Yeah. Why does it keep forgetting my age? Told you so many times. Must you forget it? 21. About 2 months from now. It's not too long. About 2 months from now. That is the last we saw of Eric. Dear, oh dear. Oh dear, it's starting to get quite cold. Either means my fever is going up, or it is just cold. It's hard to tell. I think it's my fever. I might have a fever. Fortunately. It's annoying. Hopefully. Tonight is the last night of the fever and I can head back to work tomorrow. Thank God my bosses don't know I stream. They'd be pretty upset if they knew on a day I'm supposed to be available for work I am ill. Technically not available. As long as they don't ask me to do anything. I think I've seen any emails from them recently. No emails from them. So I'm good. Anyway. I think I'm running out of steam. I'm not talking about video games on Steam, there's plenty there. I've been playing games that much actually. Since we finished Dragon's Dogma, I just haven't really felt like playing any. Actually, we're doing a lot of Japanese stuff. Need to do more. More Japanese. A bit far away while I'm talking quite quietly. So. More Japanese study I need to do. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what I'll do. Oh dear. I think I will stop there. I think we'll finish here today. I don't think I can go much further. This is... I could keep going. Throat's starting to hurt a bit too much, and I'm starting to feel a bit poorly. Not quite sick as a dog yet, but I'm getting there. So, thank you all for watching and coming to this fairly short stream. A lot of people came today. People we haven't seen in a while. So, thank you for those people. I think that person who streamed subscribed randomly halfway through the week. And remember, Mr. Winters bought us a stream. I did. Bought it with my heart and soul. I bought it with my physical health. In my case, as always, thank you all for watching. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the illness bite. It'll go. It'll pass in time. Let it flow over you and through you. And you do. それが人生です。それが。Night.